So far away Lucas and lovely audience at home, same question. What do you think is the coolest superhero costume?
I think Spider-Gwen / Ghost Spider is just the coolest Spider-Man outfit to ever be made.
Yeah, shame about those comics. The Punisher is probably best known to everyone watching at home as that Marvel superhero / anti-hero who shoots everybody in the face, due in part to his penchant for shooting everybody in the face.
Hurry! Or else he's gonna kill us all!
I wonder as well, like, 30 seconds into a video, how many clips can I put in of that? The answer's probably 0, right?
The answer is probably 0, because YouTube's just going to demonetize and block the video straight away.
Yeah, I probably could have picked a more PG topic than The Punisher.
Who the heck is that?
Just waste them!
While it is true that the Punisher shoots a lot of people in the face, I think he should be known as the character with the best costume, and not just because skulls are cool.
I don't know who you are, but you just made a big mistake. Who are you? Someone who does not need barbaric weapons to hunt.
That was Bonely there, Lucas. It's like you weren't here, were you?
Oh no, I can't see Bonely.
There we go.
There we go.
That's all the
lives.
skeleton. Like, I'll do my Punisher cosplay. You ready? Done. So what do you know about the Punisher as a character, and in particular his costume, Lucas?
So I know that he likes shooting people.
This is what I live for, webhead. To stop monsters like you from harming innocent lives.
He gets angry a lot, and he has a skull on his chest, a big old skull.
And, the skull is inarguably the most iconic aspect of the Punisher's costume. And the Punisher has had many different, costumes over the years, whether it be in live action, in the comics, or the games he's appeared in.
I'm hiding from the Punisher. He's never gonna find me.
Oh, gee.
I can't wait till he rounds back.
What is that?
What physics would make that happen?
Amazing. Punishment physics.
And the Punisher is quite a malleable character in that regard, and there's many different costume changes he's had over the years, and as long as he has that skull on his chest, you still recognise him as the Punisher. For example, you have classic Punisher, as seen in Welcome Back Frank, as you've got here, the duster, the black t-shirt, and usually a shotgun or dual handguns. You also have
a shotgun, Karl, not 18 shotguns wielded to every element of his body.
He's a fucking surgeon with that thing.
You pretty good with that shotgun?
Not that I have to be at this range, but I'm a fucking surgeon with this shotgun.
But the Punisher's goal is to punish all crime, and crime doesn't always happen in a location where that outfit makes sense. So you get all the various other costume variations, like Ninja Assault or Frozen Tundra Punisher. Right? He's like a G.I. Joe character in that regard, where he'll dress up in various outfits, but as long as that skull's on there, that's the Punisher.
The idea of it being Action Man-like, or G.I. Joe-like, as you say, of just a man that wears different things, but instead of just being Action Man, he sprays a skull on himself and just shotguns everyone in the kneecaps.
That's true of a lot of Marvel characters, though, isn't it? Look at Iron Man. He's probably the most famous of tinkering and building suits for every conceivable scenario he could find himself in. But they always have elements of the original Iron Man costume in there. Same with Spider-Man, right? He's got multiple different costumes that he'll wear for different scenarios. He has his insulated suit for fighting Electro, or his armor when he fights super powered characters like the Rhino or something. And they always have elements of the original Spider-Man design in there, like the eyes or the webbing. Punisher's the same thing. Sometimes you need Ninja Assault, Frozen Tundra action Punisher. He's got to get the fuck in there.
But you just got to make sure that the branding is there and ready, right?
You got that branding front and centre. And there are numerous explanations for why the Punisher has a skull on his chest that have been offered over the years. Do you have a favourite example, Lucas?
Oh, it's that dreadful Punisher movie where it's the t-shirt that his son gave him while they were on vacation.
The Thomas Jane one, where his son, for some reason, gets in this super edgy skull t-shirt. I like the idea of the Punisher incorporating a gift from his family into his outfit, because that's ultimately the reason for his one-man war on crime. But why is it that his son buys him a fucking skull t-shirt? It makes no sense. And we do have to give a shout-out to John Bernathal's Punisher, where he's inspired by his fist fight in the prison. Yeah. Where he gets stabbed multiple times in the chest and the skull logo seemingly appeared, and he's like, oh fuck yeah, That looked rad as shit.
We've just got to give shout out to his performance in general. Of like, I can believe that is a man that isn't necessarily the most skilled killer in the world, but he's just so angry he refuses to die.
Yeah, John Bernthal really gets across like just the rage and how broken the Punisher is, and he's talked about that in interviews of like reading through Punisher stories. He's just this absolutely broken, tortured man who just doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why, like, all he seemingly gives a fuck about is just shooting criminals. And you don't really get that with the Thomas Jane version, although I think the Thomas Jane version, it feels more comic book because it's slightly more elevated. I will say that I think Thomas Jane's like look as the Punisher is more in line with the classic look of the Punisher.
Good business? Murder? Does Saint pay you for each one? Or does he get a group rate discount?
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember the name of the person who was in Warzone, that Punisher film, but
Ray
they
Stevenson.
recreated Ray Stevenson. They looked exactly like the Punisher, to give him credit, yeah.
Not to mention,
yeah,
that movie, it's like, it's the perfect middle ground between John Bernthal's like really gritty Punisher and Thomas Jane's slightly more elevated one. Like, Thomas Jane Punisher has like John Travolta like throwing his wife in front of a train and his son asks like, Papa, where is mother? She caught a train. You wouldn't get that in John Bernthal Punisher, but Ray Stevenson one has like some slightly more elevated moments, but also he looks more in line with like, you know, this is a fucking war veteran who's just planning on committing many crimes.
And he is a big dude as well. He looks intimidating. Yeah. Like, John Bernthal, great as the Punisher, but he's not physically intimidating.
Not as physically it's more like his presence, right? When you see that fucking silhouette of the Punisher, you know you fucked up. But in regards to the Punisher on the skull's chest that he lovingly paints there each and every night, it is a work of psychological genius.
We're being punished, Ma.
Ma, we're busy being punished.
Oh, fuck off, Bear Trap.
Oh yeah, if you're just, you know, bad guy number 3, and you see a dude rock up with a skull on his chest.
Yes. So
yeah, I'm not staying there.
So the comics have gone into depth about why, in particular, the Punisher draws a skull on his chest, and there are numerous explanations offered. One of which is that, hey, after a certain point, criminals start to recognise that as a symbol that, hey, that's the Punisher. When you see that big skull coming towards you, you're about to be punished, and no one wants to be punished in the Marvel Universe.
No,
so after a certain point, you see that, you fucking give up. The big give-ups happen almost instantaneously, because you know what the Punisher's going to do. And you know you're not going to beat him. So not only is it a way for the Punisher to just immediately strike fear into the hearts of any criminal who's not actively being paid to shoot him or try and kill him, it's also very good at misdirecting fire away from his face.
True, yeah, fair. Because, like, especially when he wears, like, a bulletproof vest kind of deal where he does, like, John Bernthal at least wears, like, assault vests or bulletproof vests and things like that.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to shoot
part of his body is
at.
the most heavily armoured part, but it's also the most visible part. And I mentioned Batman, that's similar to why Batman has a big bat painting on his chest. Like, initially, it's just, hey, it's logo, it's branding. But as the comics, like, continued, writers wanted to explain away, hey, why does this master of stealth and subterfuge paint a giant fucking yellow target on his chest, essentially, when he's supposed to be sneaking up on bad guys? It's like, well, if the bad guys ever see him, that's what they'll instinctually aim towards, and it just so happens to be the most heavily armoured part of Batman's costume, as you see in the Robert Pattinson one, right? Where just
I really like the interpretation of that logo of it being a big fuck-off batarang that he's going to just kill people with, essentially.
Not to mention as well, like, you know, he's the most heavily armoured part of his body. And like I said, in that movie, you see him just, like, fucking just power walking towards criminals who are just shooting at him and it's deflecting off his body.
Yeah. So it's a cool look, and it's, you know, actually useful at the same time, right?
Yes. So, like, you know, as you might imagine, the Punisher, a guy who spends 80% of his time wiping brain matter off his shoes and the other 20% of his time putting it there, he gets shot at a lot. And as a result, like when he was coming up with his costume, according to the comics, he decided that, hey, this skull thing that I do is really, really clever. It's a great way of directing any gunfire that might be like pointed towards me towards the singular most heavily armed part of my body.
Mm-hmm. And it is one part of the John Bernthal version that I really enjoy. As I mentioned earlier, it's not that he's not trained, it's just that he is all about just rage and anger, and he will just take the hits. He doesn't care.
Don't read it as that he doesn't care if he gets hurt. It's that he knows that he's willing to get hurt to land that decisive blow. And you see that in a lot of like the John Bernthal Punisher fights, right? Where he'll take a hit if it means that he can close that distance and land that finishing hit.
He also kind of doesn't really care if he walks away. That's another part of his characterization.
Yeah, like he's basically a dead man walking. It's that Kratos tech, isn't it? Of death can have me when it earns me. And I'm sure if the Punisher, if there's anyone out there more badass enough to kill him, he'd be all right with that. It just so happens that no one is.
Well, I think it's brought up in the fight where one of the many fights he has with Daredevil, where he's like, "Go on then, do it, kill me," and like essentially the reason Frank doesn't die is because Daredevil's not willing to kill him.
It goes one step further than that, though, Lucas. Do you mention like Batman having a giant batarang on his chest, and that'd be a cool thing he could do? But it turns out in some comics, the Punisher has his skull serve a dual purpose. Not only is it there to psychologically intimidate enemies who know that the Punisher will fuck them all the way up, direct gunfire towards the most heavily armoured part of his body, some variations of his costume actually have each tooth of the skull be a spare magazine for one of his guns. And that's something you do see in the John Bernthal one, where he keeps like his spare magazines on his chest and he paints over them. But I do like that he even thinks like, well, I've got to put it on my outfit anyway. Why not make it functional?
Yeah, because a lot of the time, as I say, he's not necessarily always wearing like a bulletproof vest. From what we can see, it's a lot of the time just like a big tactical vest with a lot of like different elements to it. So you just got spare magazines and stuff in there.
Yeah, well, he's just fucking bristling with weaponry.
I mean, you've got to have a lot of magazines when that's your stick, right? It's just go in and shoot 50 men in one go.
And it's just the idea that the Punisher's costume takes exactly two things into account. I need to shoot as many people as possible, and they're probably going to be shooting at me.
Mm-hmm.